First and foremost, Petra is called in Arabic Baṭrā, an ancient city and once a center of an Arab kingdom in Hellenistic and Roman times. To support the ancient city's large population, its inhabitants maintained an extensive hydrological system, including dams, cisterns, rock-carved water channels, and ceramic pipes. Petra is located about 150 miles south of both Jerusalem and Amman, the capital of Jordan, and about midway between Damascus, Syria, and the Red Sea. Petra dates back to the 4th century BC. The Khaznah or Khazneh, which is translated the Treasury, is once a great metropolis and trading center, now serves as an important archeological site and tourist attraction. The whole Treasury building is 130 feet high and 92 feet wide. Please notice that for purposes of perspective, the Corinthian Columns are 50 feet high. Petra is considered significant by historians and archaeologists alike. Why? Because of its beautiful rock-cut architecture, like the one you're seeing, the Nabatean rock-cut monument of Al-Dayr in Petra, Jordan, which is translated the monastery. Not only the beautiful rock-cut architecture, but also their water management system, latter of which made the region inhabitable, given that it is surrounded by desert and rugged mountainous terrain. Notice that the valley is enclosed by sandstone cliffs, veined with shades of red and purple, varying to pale yellow. For this reason, Petra was called by this 19th century English biblical scholar named John William Burgon a rose-red city, half as old as time, according to Britannica.com. Petra was built on a terrace pierced from east to west by the Wadi Musa, literally translated the Valley of Moses, which is one of the places where, according to tradition, the Israelite leaders struck a rock and water gushed forth at the site of Ain Musa, or Moses Spring, the one that we studied last week. Wadi Musa, an Arabic term literally translated Valley of Moses, is a town located in today's Man Governorate in southern Jordan. It is the administrative center of Petra Department and the nearest town to the archaeological site of Petra. The Nabateans built the channels, the water channels that carried water from this spring to the city of Petra. Wadi Musa was also nicknamed the guardian of Petra. Now, let's study the connection of Petra to the biblical accounts. In Numbers 20, now there was water. There was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron at Meribah Kadesh. They quarreled with Moses, and they started blaming Moses. If only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord. Why did you bring us in this wilderness where there is no water for us and our livestock? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt? This is a terrible place. There is no water to drink. Now, moving on in chapter 20, verse 6, Moses and Aaron went from the assembly and inquired of the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, take your staff, you and your brother Aaron, gather the assembly together, speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will pour out water. and you will bring water out of the rock for the community so that they and their livestock can drink. That was the instruction. Take your staff, gather the assembly, speak to the rock, and the water will come out. But instead of demonstrating God's glory and provision by speaking to the rock, Moses struck the rock twice and claimed that he and Aaron bring forth water. And that is recorded in chapter 20, verses 10 and 11. Last time I shared with you that the biblical insight we can glean is because of their disobedience, doubt, unbelief, arrogance, it has an enduring consequence that affects the rest of their life. Moses and Aaron was not able to enter the promised land. The first generation of wilderness wanderers, they all died because of their failure to obey God. So there is always a consequences for the sin of disobedience, doubt, unbelief, and even arrogance. Now, let's look at the connection of Petra to the history and also still linked in the Bible. Petra area was occupied by the Edomites during the Iron Age between 1200 to 600 BC. The Edomites rebelled after the king Solomon in 928 BC when Israel split into two kingdoms, the kingdom of Israel in the north and the kingdom of Judah on the south. Who are the Edomites? The Edomites were known as the descendants of Esau, the brother of Jacob, the sons of Isaac and Rebekah. In the Old Testament, the configuration of the mountains in Petra allowed for a reservoir of water for the Edomites. This made Petra a stopping ground for the merchants, making it an outstanding area for trade. Things that were traded here included wine, olive oil, and wood. Initially, Edomites were accompanied by nomads who eventually left, but the Edomites stayed and made their mark on Petra before the emergence of the Nabateans. They were engaged in battle with King Amaziah of Judah and chased back into their own lands. Didn't you know that Petra is a Greek word? It means rock. So Petra probably replaced the biblical name Selah. The remains from the Paleolithic, Neolithic periods have been discovered at Petra. Wow! Centuries later, the Nabateans, an Arab tribe, occupied it and made it the capital of their Arab kingdom. Under the Nabatean rule, Petra prospered as a center of spice trade that involved China, Egypt, Greece, and India. And the city's population swelled between 10,000 to 30,000. But wait, who were the Nabateans? The Nabateans believed to be the descendants of Nabatu, who is the son of Ishmael, and Ishmael is the son of Abraham and Hagar. The Nabateans were members of people of ancient Arabia whose settlements lay in borderlands between Syria and Arabia from the Euphrates River to the Red Sea. Their monopoly on the rich caravan trade that passed from Arabian interior to the coast was the chief source of their prosperity. You will notice the Roman gate at the Petra Jordan. When the Nabateans were defeated by the Romans in 106 Common Era, Petra became the part of the Roman province of Arabia, but continued to flourish until the changing trade routes caused its gradual commercial decline. The Islamic invasion occurred in the 7th century, and the Crusader outpost is evidence of activity in there in the 12th century. After the Crusades, the city was unknown to the Western world until Petra was rediscovered. Who rediscovered Petra? A Swiss explorer by the name Johann Ludwig Burckhardt in 12. Now, you will see this in pictures posted in Facebook and many, right? This is called the Sikh, the Arabic term transliterated al-Sikh, or literally translated the shaft. The Sikh is the main entrance to the ancient Nabatean city of Petra in the southern Jordan. It is also known as Sikit. It is a dim, narrow gorge in some points no more than 3 meters wide and winds its way approximately 1.2 kilometers and ends at Petra's most elaborate ruin, named Al-Khazneh, or Al-Khaznah, translated the Treasury. A wide valley outside leading the Sikh is known as the Bab as-Sikh, or translated gateway to the Sikh. What is the Sikh? The Sikh is a natural geological fault split apart by tectonic forces. Only later it was worn smooth by water. The walls that encloses the Sikh stand between 91 to 182 meters, or around 300 to 597 feet in height. The entrance to the sea contains a huge dam reconstructed in 1963 and again in 1991, designed to bar the mouth of the sea and reroute the waters of Wadi Musa, the Valley of Moses. The dam is fairly true reconstruction of what the Nabatean did to control the Wadi Musa between the 1st century BC and the beginning of the 1st century AD. The entrance also contains remnants of monumental arch. Notice that this Khaznah, or the treasury, is actually a large tomb. It is also known as Khazneh el Faroun, which is translated the treasury of Pharaoh. This is one of the most elaborate rock-cut tombs in Petra, inhabited by Arabs in the ancient times. As with most other buildings in the ancient town, including the monastery or Al-Dayr, this structure was carved out of a sandstone rock face. It is thought that Al-Khazneh was built as a mausoleum and a crypt at the beginnings of the 1st century AD, during the reign of Aretas IV Philopatris. Al-Khazni, a name derived from the legends regarding a decorative stone urn high on the 2nd level, which in reality is a solid sandstone. It became called Al-Khazni or Al-Khaznah in the early 19th century by the area's Bedouins, as they had believed it contained treasures. One of the legends is that Egyptian Pharaoh and some of his armies escaped the closing of the Red Sea, created the Khazneh by magic as a safe place for his treasury, and continued his pursuit of Moses in Exodus chapter 14. This led to the name Khazneh el Faroun, or the treasury of Pharaoh. In 1812, the city Petra and Al-Khazneh was rediscovered, as I alluded a while ago, by the Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. Burckhardt wrote of another local legend that ancient pharaonic treasures were hidden in the urn, and significant damage from bullets can be seen on the urn, which Jordanian government attributes to Bedouins who believe the legend. Al-Dayr or Al-Dayr or El-Dayr is a monumental building carved out of the rock in ancient Jordanian city of Petra. The deer was probably carved in the mid-1st century AD. Arguably, one of the most iconic monuments in Petra Archaeological Park is this called the monastery. This is located in the high hills northwest of Petra Center. It is the second most commonly visited monument in Petra after the Treasury or Al-Khaznah. The monastery can be reached by ascending nearly 800 steps or 40-minute walking time from the basin. The Wadi Karube, the Lion's Tomb, and the small Biklinia or grottos can be seen en route to the monastery. From the monastery, one can view the valleys of Wadi Araba and the gorge along the semi-arid territory immediately around Petra. The rock-cut facade of the monastery is 47 meters high and 48 meters wide. It has a broken pediment, the two sides which flank a central tholos-shaped element. This element has a conical roof that is topped by an urn. The tombs of Petra. Many of the tombs of Petra have been elaborate facades and are now used as dwellings. The famous rock-cut tombs of the Nabateans were not decorated. Listen to this. They were not decorated just for show. They were meant to be comfortable homes for the dead. Imagine that. That these tombs were meant for comfortable homes for the dead. Like the Egyptians, the Nabateans believed that the deceased lived on and must be fed after death. And eagles are the symbol of Dushara or Dushare that were sometimes carved above the doorways for the protection of the dead. Now, the Khazral Bint or the Temple of the Shares is the largest facade in Petra, Jordan. The Khazral Bint is a religious temple in the Nabatean city of Petra. It faces the Wadi Musa and is located to the northwest of the Great Temple and to the southwest of the Temple Winged Lion. One of the best preserved of the ancient structures surviving in Petra today. It stands near the monumental gate and was the key focal point on the colonnaded street as well as focus of the religious worship. The full Arabic name of the ruined Khazar al-Bin, Firaun. Khazar bin Firaun, or the place of Pharaoh's daughter. Fancy name. This name derives from a local folktale according to which the virtuous daughter of a wicked Pharaoh determined to decide, okay, between her suitors by setting them the task of providing water supply for her place. So two suitors completed the task simultaneously by directing water to the palace from the different springs in the hills surrounding it. The princess accepted the more modest of the two suitors. Why? Because the suitor ascribed his success to God. The temple faces north towards the sacrificial altar that was dedicated to Dushara, the main Nabatean deity. Notice this obelisk tomb on the top and the bubble sink triclinium at the bottom. These are the burial complex. It's unique in the Nabatean architecture. It consists of two very different rock-cut structures, both of which were built at the same time during the reign of Malichus II between 40 to 70 AD. First, the obelisk tomb consists of four pointed pillars called nephesh. The highest is 7 meters. What is a nephesh? A nephesh is a symmetric monument placed near a grave so as to be seen from afar. They probably embody those buried in the four side graves of the inner chamber. The Bab al-Sik triclinium, what is that? A triclinium is a dining room widely used in antiquity with three benches or sofas on which the guest reclined while while feasting. In Petra, more than 100 of triclinia of various sizes have been found, and about a quarter of them in connection with the tombs for ritual banquets in honor of the deceased or the dead. The strongly weathered facade is about 15.5-meter wide and 11-meter high. This is classified as a complex classical type in Nabatean rock architecture. Another is the high place of sacrifice, again in Petra. This is a cultic altar dating from biblical times. This is well preserved. This is one of the highest accessible points in Petra, and this is located on the cliffs of Jebel Madva mountain, which drop almost 170 meters to the Wadi Musa below. And this high place of sacrifice was mainly used for sacrifice of animals to the Nabatean god Dushara. It is one of the dozens of high places perched on the ridge and the mountain tops around Petra, all of which are similar design and function. This high place of sacrifice features a platform about 15 meters long and 16 meters wide. It served as a venue for religious ceremonies oriented towards an altar set up on 4 steps with a basin to one side and a socket into which may have slotted a stone representation of the god. The high place of sacrifice is just one of the many fascinating sites in Petra, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Excavations began in 1993 revealed several more temples and monuments that provide insight into the political, social, religious traditions of that ancient city, Petra. What you see is a map of Petra highlighting 36 sites, including tombs, temples, towers, gates, monuments, museum, and etc. Can't wait to see them. And then finally, again, the map of Petra highlighting 7 sites, beginning at the Sikh, then the Treasury, the street facades, a theater, royal tombs, colonnaded street, museum, ending in the monastery. This is a beautiful place. They are all God's creation. And He uses several civilizations to carve those rock-cut architecture. Thank God for this beautiful place called Petra. I hope you have been blessed.